It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your analysis of games in the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch, and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. This is Ash here with you for the next hour, along with Cyb and Moontag. As always, welcome, folks. How are you doing this fine evening?
Hi. I have a very adorable little Paimon, a puppy in my lap.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so cute. She's been very rambunctious earlier, but she's very excited to join us for the podcast.
Mm-hmm. And for every people that slam the like button, Paimon gets a pet. So,
Yay for Paimon!
Do it for the puppers. Do it for the puppies. Hit that like button. It likes it rough, unlike Paimon. And let's talk about Paimon the puppy. I don't know what Paimon from the game. I don't know what. I should shut up there because I don't even know how old that character is.
He's not emergency food. That's for sure.
Welcome to the show, everybody. And Cyb is somewhere there. Sorry for the late start.
I'm here.
We had a tiny little mishap with a thing falling on a thing and turning off all the things. So, but
it's like what's the chances that a falling object could fall down and hit that small, tiny little button that turns off all the power on the power bar, whilst falling through several, ropes of power cables and, a chair.
We can do the math on that, but that would take far too long because we're going for exactly an hour tonight. Because otherwise, Cyb's automatic shutdown routine just starts up, and we can't control that. So. Some fun stuff to talk about tonight, though. We have the Cyberpunk 2077 leaks that have been everywhere, and there's been a massive amount of discussion about this on our Discord server this week, which is why we decided to talk about it on the podcast, because Cyb and I were kind of like, well, should we talk about Cyberpunk? I mean, it's kind of been talked to death, but the Cyberpunk room on our Discord server has just been lit up this week, talking about all of this stuff, and so clearly you're interested in it, so we're going to talk about it. And also some stuff about Mass Effect Ultimate Edition and what the ease of modding it has shown us about the game itself, plus a little bit of Halo, some new artwork to look at. I mean, it's nothing massive, but it's out there, so we are looking at the Bethesda Microsoft E3-ish, their big annual conference that they do, or the Bethesda one is always done on the Sunday of E3, and this time it's Microsoft and Bethesda combined. That's coming up this coming Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, I believe, 1 p.m. Eastern, I believe is the time. We will be live restreaming that on our main channel, the Triple S League. So definitely subscribe over there. You can find the link in the description if you are not subscribed over there. But you can find we'll be live restreaming that. Should be a good time. Really looking forward to seeing what we're gonna see. And we're gonna be
jumping into some of the other showcases, obviously, as well.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a heavy weekend. Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm. Still working out our schedule, but we are for sure restreaming the Bethesda Xbox One. It's Sunday morning, North America time. Usually they do it late in the night, but Sunday morning this time. So that'll be a good time. So definitely come and join us. That should be a lot of fun. So you know what? People are doubling up. You got to give the pupper 2 pats for X-Mex's like, and Jasmine gave a comment for 2 pats. So you have 2 comments for 2 pats. There you go. Okay, each message in the live chat earns the pupper a pet.
Oh,
there you go. All
so
right.
This stuff, by the way, so this stuff starts to kick off tomorrow, and starts to pick up after that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't have the schedule in front of me. Kind of been. I have this wall every Tuesday night. It's like, okay, got to get through the podcast, and then the rest of the week starts. But yeah, we'll. There's probably going to be some watch parties on the Discord server, and of course, we'll be covering all of the big info as much as we possibly can. It's a busy time. Anyway, as far as the news of this past week, Cyberpunk 2077 has been in the news like crazy, and most of it stems from this leak that. So, quick recap: CD Projekt Red was hacked. Somebody stole a whole bunch of content from their servers, including source codes for their games and a whole bunch of other stuff, including apparently, a ton of videos, HR files. Like they got a lot of stuff. And now the source codes of the game of their various games, like multiple versions of The Witcher, Cyberpunk 2077, Gwent, all of that is being leaked. The hackers are trying to auction off the passwords to zip files containing the codes, all of this, which is, kind of garbage behavior on their part, of course, and also highly illegal. So anyway, we're not really interested in that stuff so much, although there is some interesting stuff coming out of it. I think the most incriminating thing for CD Projekt Red thus far, and I'm using that term very loosely, there was these bug montages, which we'll talk about. Don't really think that's a big deal. There were some very interesting videos from the development era of the game, some videos documenting parts of development, and there's some fascinating stuff in there. The leaks are all over, there's links on Reddit you can find, things like that. We're not going to be directly sharing any of that because we don't want to, again, we just don't want to be either subject to DMCA takedowns or get CDPR angry at us.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, well, we could show you all the bugs, but then again, I mean, all you have to do to see that is just play the game.
Just open the game up. Yeah, exactly. But I think
so funny. The one thing that I found the most interesting was their third-person camera.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. I wanted to talk about something that was found in the source code. This is probably the most incriminating thing. That somebody found all their censorship flags that they can turn. Apparently, they can just turn these on and off and censor certain types of things. And anyway, it's on the screen right now. The very bottom one you'll see is the one for censorship required in China, and they named the variable after a certain cartoon bear. I
didn't see that. That's actually really funny. The fact that they called that Winnie the Pooh is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So funny. And now
that's amazing.
They could potentially get in trouble with China for this. Personally, I think it's hilarious. But I also I found this really interesting because
this has actually brought up my opinion of the company quite significantly. This is really funny. Oh my god.
But they also have. I also found it. If you look at the fourth one down here, they have a flag for censoring. I mean, there's censor flags for sexual content. There's several levels of it: nudity, sexually explicit, and then sexually suggestive. The fourth one, censor homosexuality. Now, this is why I get fed up with these game companies that go all out and change their logo to a rainbow during Pride Month, because they still sell their games in places where they have to censor that stuff, and they're not if they really stood on principle, they'd say no, we're not gonna censor it, and if we can't make money in your market, then too bad.
Mm-hmm.
If they really stood on principle, but they don't.
Like, I mean, you like, I get some of these, right? I get the gore, the over sexualized, the nudity. You want to turn those on and off for like streams, right? Like it
yeah.
Like, for Twitch and stuff, because it's one of those things where it's like, It's like if you're looking up like a detailed like walkthrough guide or something like that, you typically are gonna know like within the context of the game. But it's like you don't want to like you don't want your kids like hopping onto some other like you know um, younger streamers thing, and they're just streaming like dong shots all day
Yeah.
long. Like it's just, despite the fact that kids look this stuff up on their own, just
Yeah.
because they have the ability to. I get that, but there is a serious problem with the censoring for this other stuff. Like
Yeah, if
the
you're just
religion.
singling out, well, yeah, the religion one's weird too. It's like, okay, so I don't know what region that's for, but like, so
Well, it depends. It depends the religion, right? Because there's some religions that you can mock and it's fine, and then there's other religions that you can't mock or say anything negative about, or offend their delicate sensibilities.
yeah,
So it's one of those things where it's like, and out of all of those things, it's like that last the second to last one. Actually, the last one will get you killed too, but the second to last one, in some places, will get you killed really fast. Like really, really fast.
yeah,
Like
in some parts of the world, yeah. So yeah, you know what? I simply advocate that we all play by the same rules, but whatever. We're gonna.
that would make logical, coherent sense.
But I mean, I get it to some extent. I understand they got to make money, but it's like if you're gonna do this, don't go out and I'm not talking about CD Projekt specifically. I'm talking about other companies. Like don't try to be like, oh, look how we're standing up for this, we're taking this moral stance in free countries where it won't have any consequences for us, right? It's like, okay, shut up when we know what you're doing in other countries, so we know you're censoring stuff and not standing on principle in other countries. Sorry, this wasn't supposed to become a rant about that, but it's just garbage, and it's like, roll my eyes. Like, give me a break. Just, be consistent or just shut up. Anyway, so speaking of so there's two major things that have come out of these video leaks. One is a set of bug montages, and the other, which I found even more fascinating, was a build or a video of gameplay apparently from 2013, of an early build of the game. 2013. We're talking, so before Witcher 3. So it's very limited in scope, but it shows what they were working on early on. And yes, it is in third person. So they were definitely, at least third person was going to be an option. It didn't really demonstrate switching into first person, but I really wish we could show it because it's really cool. But I don't want to get this podcast, marked for a DMCA takedown.
It's I mean, it's there. It's not great.
It's not great looking. I mean, you can tell
it's not great
it's
looking,
early.
but
Like, it's
yeah.
pre-alpha. It is early. But it's a proof of concept, I think, is more what it is. So you have
It's fairly similar to what they have currently in the game, as far as like the modders being able to turn on the third person camera. There's probably some more utility options floating around in the options in the sub menu somewhere. And the one thing that this does allow is, if there are some this may end up giving us access to bigger mods. I don't want to say that this is a good thing. Obviously, it's not a good thing that they got hacked. Obviously, it's not a good thing that this got stolen. Obviously, it's not a good thing that they're selling this. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of problems as far as like hacking and problematic stuff down the road. Like there is some serious security flags that they're going to have to go out and make sure that they fix before they can even think about adding multiplayer to this now. So there is a lot of stuff that obviously has caused and will continue to cause some issues. However, I think that this might be a good thing in the sense of, and again, in the sense of, so not, it's a good thing in general. Just in it's one of these like, it could potentially be one of these like hidden blessing things where the community might be able to do more with the game now, you know, and as far as like modding and other stuff goes, and if that becomes a big revitalization for the game, then that's actually a really great thing. Like,
Yeah.
if the community rallies behind the modding community rallies behind this, is able to pump out some just like amazing, like high level, content down the road because of the source engine now, or the source data now being out. It's like you could see a significant resurgence. Now, again, they were planning on putting out mod tools anyways, so this, may or may not have changed, what the future held at all. But at the same time, it is one of these things where it's like it does depend on the community, depends on a lot of things.
I feel like that the modding community could probably build a better modding tool than CDPR had the time and energy to do.
Well, it's one of those things where we talk about it a lot, where some of these game companies they just don't have the energy to do things like, they don't have the energy to go in and make a high def version of a floating hairstyle, 168 floating hairstyles that have like bounce and flow and all this stuff to them. There's a lot of companies that look at that kind of stuff and do just kind of like whatever. We don't have time, right? And Bethesda is a great example of this, in how when Bethesda is sitting there trying to create content for their game, like Fallout 4, their base human skin, for the main character and for most of the human NPCs was absolutely atrocious. Like not atrocious on a small level, like we did the feet comparison, right? So like the feet, feet are ugly and whatever. I hate feet. It's whatever, but it's like the feet that were in the Bethesda Fallout 4 game were truly atrocious. Like they looked like they were from like a generation ago. They were ugly, blocky, like they didn't look like normal feet. Like it was very clearly, done pretty quickly, not with finite love and care. Then Caliente comes out with her total body refit and new mesh and new everything, and the player's feet now look pretty darn amazing. Like they look like model level amazing. And again, it's like not maybe that wrecks your immersion into the world, but having feet that look like they were made out of like 100 polygons is not great when comparing it to something like this. But in that case, Caliente was able to make it so that these new skins basically ran more efficiently as well, just because the way that they like improved the textures.
Well, sure, but Caliente didn't need access to the source code to make that happen.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I'm talking about how we can't expect CDPR to create a whole bunch of tools and a whole bunch of like content for the game that is not necessarily like something that they could pour like 200 hours into. Caliente, I think, should put like 1,000 hours into that. And for most companies, they're not going to put 1,000 hours into production of a single character, unless of course it's 2B and you're working on that little skirt thing of hers. Because then it's definitely worth it, because it sold like 2 million copies just by itself. I'm obviously being a little facetious here, but you know what I'm saying is that overall, the tools and the access and the level of stuff that they can do and the level that they can work on is not necessarily always the best.
Plus, I doubt that it's a priority right now when they're just trying to fix the game. They're just trying to make it, like they're trying to get it to the point where it should have been at launch. And so I think...
Well, speaking of making changes, there is a question from Woolly Ram in the chat. Are modders still interested in Cyberpunk, or has it on the vine?
So I got to turn you up because you were really quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're really quiet, and you might wanna scoot yourself a little closer to that microphone.
But well, I turned her up on my end. But yeah, are modders still interested in it, or has it withered on the vine? Well, we can kind of check it out. I'll just bring up the Nexus mod page here, and new today, five new mods today. I count 4. So I don't know why I'm saying 5.
40.
This week 40. So
and I've been waiting for this one to come out. It's been like I've been really waiting for this mod to come out. I just wanted to make sure that I'm checking the right time. So that this did come out in May, end of May 27th. The immersive first person mod. This is one of these things that a form of this immersive first person mod was put into Skyrim. And it is quite simply amazing and game-changing. And if they really, really wanted, if these first-person games really, really wanted to create an actual, evolution on the first-person universe, they would do something like this. Like this is what I was talking about. So I'm really excited because last time I checked was like on the 25th of May, which of course, right. So yeah, but overall, like, you can check out some of the footage in this, and my goodness, this is what I'm talking about. This is that first person thing, and we saw it. I would say that Techland's darn it, what's their game called? The zombie thingy survival open world.
Dying Light.
I forgot the name of
Dying Light
2. So Dying Light 2 has a little bit more of this, and again, this is what I was talking about when it comes to first person. And I do utilize this in Skyrim. I switch out of it quite frequently, obviously, because it's first person. This is like motion sickness city right here. But this is something that I think if they had done something like this and added that into these scenes, I honestly feel that the game visually would have been way better if they had allowed some of these scenes to incorporate that. And then what you're doing and what they could have done is they could have mo-capped from the person's from the actor's perspective, right? And I think that would have been far more interesting than what they did, which was to say, hey, we're going to revolutionize first-person cameras by basically doing no new integration, despite the fact that the immersive first-person mods in several other games, mostly like Skyrim or Fallout, have, I think, revolutionized the field in first-person way more than what they claim to want to do. And I think this is one of those things where it's like, I want first person to evolve to be better instead of just, floating camera with that weird physics thing where you can have a 3.5 foot rifle in front of you and run into a wall, and your rifle is just like, it's some kind of weird physics thing where it's like, it looks like it's 3 feet in front of you, but you're pressed right up against the wall and you can just see it kind of like floating there. It's like that always has bothered me incredibly, and I think that's part of the problem with that I have so much with the first person stuff, is because most of it's not the physics of it isn't correct.
Yeah.
The physics of it are weak. Very, very weak. Extremely weak.
So I don't want to go too much farther down.
I know.
We've talked about it a ton, but we did see in the again the pre-alpha footage that you can watch on online right now from 2013. It was third person, and again, yes, I agree that. So the fact that they were hacked and the source code is out, bad thing in general. Don't agree with that happening. But it could have, it in the end, it could have some upsides for them. I don't know how they're feeling right now, but all their tech just being out there. But Circadian says, as a modder, I'm still interested, but it needs work first. If they make mods a priority and generally more accessible, then we could be looking at a 2077 renaissance. I mean, I think that there's still the potential for a really good core game that can be really well modded there, but they do have a long way to go.
Oh my god, one of the other mods that they added this week is they've added shadows to your hair. Whereas before, and again, this is one of these things where it's like they clearly missed a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the fact that your hair didn't have a shadow, it's like shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Like I picked a color set and came out with a completely different one. I was like, this is not what I expected.
Too. Yeah.
That bothered me.
Yes. Yeah, there was I think we all agree that there was a layer of polish missing. But anyway, I think a lot of the interest in these videos that have been leaked has been that, people wondering what could have been. We could have had a third-person RPG like the, if you do go watch that 2013 build footage, it's got a real Mass Effect vibe to it. And, in a good way. Not like Mass Effect Andromeda, and don't judge it by the graphics because it's very flat. It's pre-alpha footage. It's obviously just a proof of concept thing, but basically it's like V wakes up, he gets a phone call from somebody. There's actually this rather interesting scenario. He's in this apartment of this woman, and there's full nudity. By the way, that's the other reason we can't really show you the bug montages or some of the other footage. There are dongs everywhere, but anyway, they
ding dong.
Ding dong indeed. And in some cases, ding dongs where you would not expect ding dongs. But he gets a phone call. There's this interesting scenario, and it's like, oh, well, how's this woman paying for this apartment? It was very interesting. The characters are voiced. But, he walks out on the balcony, talks to his neighbor who's on the next balcony. He's in this apartment in this huge building, and it's just like, there's this feel to it that isn't there anymore in Cyberpunk 2077 that we got, and I just wonder. It makes me wonder what could have been if they didn't gut it and rebuild it.
I think the majority of that feel was taken out when they doubled down on making it shooter. And make it, because I'll give them that it's a decent shooter.
Yeah,
but I feel that they walked away from their RPG mechanics. They walked away from a ton of like the character and like connecting you to your character, and we've talked about this a lot too. And this is a big factor of like, why is third person camera important? Is because when you spend all day looking at your character, you memorize your character. I can't tell you what Ethan looks like in Resident Evil. I have no idea what he looks like. I have absolutely no clue. I as far as I know, his face is a big round like happy smiley face. Like,
I remember he has a hand. I'm pretty sure he has at least one hand.
He has two up, and he has at least one at all times, though. That's true.
And what would have made some of those scenes like really gripping is like seeing his reaction, like his facial like reaction to like having his hand, that thing happen to his hand, and then all this other stuff. It's like there is so much more that they could add. There's so much more interaction. There's so much more depth, and it's not like that's where I think the field of evolving the technology is. I think that's where it is. I think that's where the direction of it is headed, and I think that's where it could become. They could have like taken that to the next level of like integrating the first and the third person.
Well, I think
integrating the ways that you role play your character. And there was so much more stuff, and all I see is this move to it being just a fancy shooter.
Well, and I think
I don't
the
that
thing
was-
is,
I don't think
it
that was
didn't
good.
help that they really did strip back the RPG elements.
They really did, yeah.
After, despite promising that, it's going to be a first-person RPG, not a first-person shooter with RPG elements. It's going to be a first-person RPG with shooter elements. Well, I mean, we could debate about what it actually ended up being, but having a really good first-person RPG, and I'm not, I agree that having the option is there, but when I play Fallout 4, I played it exclusively in first person. I almost forgot there was a third-person mode because it does help me immerse in some cases. It's not that I don't appreciate third person. I think it's a style choice more so than anything else. And I think as far as Resident Evil, I mean, it doesn't bother me that I don't know what Ethan looks like. I mean, but now that's just me, right? Obviously different for you. I'm
not hitting on, by the way.
Yeah, no, I realize that, but that's what I mean. I'm just saying it's kind of a stylistic, personal preference thing. The designer's got to make a choice. I was reading an article today of someone who said, despite all its problems, they really agreed with CDPR's move to exclusively first person. So there's personal taste mixed into all of that. But
and it's fine that person's wrong, but
you respect their right to be wrong. I see.
I totally respect the right to be completely wrong. The only thing I was going to say the only thing that I found dumb about in retrospect, after having watched most of the playthrough, because again I can't play for crap, but I can I can kind of listen along to a lot of the playthroughs and whatnot of Resident Evil, and I gotta say the only thing that's dickish or stupid about that game is apparently the fact that Chris Redfield is a complete and total jackass.
Yeah, there was definitely some plot convenience built into his decisions there, but anyway.
It's like, oh, now that you're here, let me explain to you what's going on, so that way you will know that I am on your side. And no, he doesn't do any of that.
JK lol. Yeah,
let's
not get off on let's not get off on that tangent. We've got too much to discuss in the next 25 minutes. But yes, anyway, so yeah, it was interesting to check out. But the other thing we should talk about are the bug montages. Now, I think there is some misunderstandings about these bug montages. Yes, they appear to have been compiled in 2020, just prior to the release of the game, but the clips in them are not from 2020. So I mean, some of them might be, but you've got clips going way, way back. Like the clips in the bug montages are from various points of development, from their early there's some that are clearly from closer to the end of development, and there's some that are just like vehicle tests where it's just nothing but gray textures and things, and just early stuff like that. And so there's some misconception about that. Now, even Jason Schreier had to admit that no, these videos are not evidence that CD Projekt knew about the shabby state that the game was in at launch. He clarified that he does believe they knew it was how shabby and terrible it was at launch, but these videos in particular aren't evidence of that, because they're just what they are is just something that CDPR developed internally. They're just funny clips that they compiled into videos. They set them to music, and it was just something fun they were sharing around in the office.
It's pretty normal,
and it's pretty standard practice too, right?
Yeah. So I would say that especially with the date that most of this stuff was made, it just really, 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 I don't think this is the issue. I don't think this was like them saying, oh yeah, we knew about all these bugs, because most of those bugs were on the list to be fixed anyways. clearly something happened in the last I would say the last year. Some major it's going to be interesting picking this apart in 5 years.
I
But
wonder if they'll
there was
find.
clearly.
I wonder if people wouldn't it be funny if somebody went through the source code, fixed all the bugs, and then released the bug-free version of the game? There's the potential with that all out there. Not that I'm endorsing this, I am not, but there's the potential of a bootleg, enhanced version of Cyberpunk 2077 made by people.
I think
by modders.
So, well, I was just while we've been talking, I looked over. I took a peek over at the third-person mod, and it is up to release of version 40, not 4.0. Release version 40, and I'm just going through the version edits here. And the last time I messed with it, I think it was version 3, and just looking at this now, and it's it has had dozens upon dozens upon dozens and upon dozens of fixes. So clearly there is still a lot of progress being made. Mm-hmm. There's so much. Oh, the last update was actually earlier today. So yeah, there's a significant progress being made here with that. So, and again, I think that there's a good chance that this getting out there will help in a lot of cases, potentially. For modding, I know that it's going to be a sticky issue, right? Because it's do you use the data or not? Do you boycott the fixes that employ the use of somebody illegally using the master file to correct these issues, or do you insist that people work only within the confines of the essentially the broken release, right? And so then you're just shoehorning fixes in, which is, again, not the best fit. It's not the best fit. It's not the best thing. There's still some issues. Obviously, it's what comes of that. And for that, I'd say, it's one of those things that's going to be I'm going to have to. I haven't made up my mind on it. It's obviously something that's going to be a little difficult to assume, and that's just using the mods, right? That's just using the mods. No, I'm not talking about modding myself, actually downloading the actual legal thing so that I can get into the code and rip some stuff out and patch in some fixes and then find a way to port that over to the live. I'm not talking about that. No. I'm just talking strictly using mods that utilize this.
Well, you might not even know.
Is it something? Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like they're gonna broadcast this, right?
But I wonder what. I wonder what CDPR's stance is going to be on that. Mm-hmm. Are they going to say, okay, well, it's out there, if you
they have got to come out with some more information. Right now they have been quiet for 6 months now. It's been basically a gong show. It continues to get worse, and they've got all this DLC, all this stuff planned, all this fixes. Do I think they can do it? Yes, I do, because again, a lot of people forget that Witcher 3 was, I mean, obviously it wasn't as bad as Cyberpunk, but it was bad. It was really, really rough. And it didn't get fixed until after the final DLC was added, Blood and Wine. That's when the game became, the best, the game of the year. It
that's when I started playing that.
Exactly. And if you're playing these games, same thing with Skyrim, same thing with all these other ones. And again, I'm not making excuses for these companies releasing buggy products, but I'm just saying that it's a lot of people forget that they're playing the patched out version. There's lots of alpha games that I've been in, lots of early beta games where I'm playing an experience that is essentially broken. I remember playing one of the top games in the world right now in its alpha state about 2 months before release, And then I remember playing it at release, and in both cases, I mean, obviously the closed alpha or beta was just so much more problems to it, so much more like humongous issues. But the release version was still pretty rough. But you fast forward 6 to 8 months after that initial release, and it's so much better. And then you fast forward again another 6 months, and they had more content out for it, and all this other stuff that was coming out, and all the bug fixes, and all the class balances, and all that kind of stuff. And the game was just arguably a lot better. And so there's a lot of people who forget that. And again, I'm not saying that this is okay. I think studios need to get it in their head that their time for like their release level needs to be like 6 months before they actually release, and then they need to spend an actual 6 months in polish mode, not adding new features, not changing things around, not going back and saying, oh man, I just played this new game by this other studio, and they had this cool feature in it, and I think we should really add that. And we know that that's been an issue for CDPR for a really long time. We figured that out.
I just saw John Wick. Let's get that guy in our game.
Exactly. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff where, they have a lot of fixes to do. They have a lot of improvements that they can do, but for the love of God, they need to stop. And again, this is all studios. I remember, one of the best examples. The entire crafting system in SWTOR, the Knights of the Old Republic, the MMO, the entire crafting system was rebooted a month to release. The entire crafting system was completely overhauled a month, and I think it was like 2.5 months before release. And it wasn't good. It wasn't a strong suit. And it's like something where you sit back and you're like, the crafting system that you gave us was not good. What was the previous version?
What was the previous? Hopefully it was...
Was it worse? Was it 10 times worse, or was it actually better?
Was it actually good, but you just decided you wanted to add to it?
And this happens a lot. This happens a lot, and we've seen this. We see this again and again and again with Cyberpunk. When we pull up the old footage, it's like this particular thing. Thing number 47 looks good. Why did you change it? Oh well, we didn't like the shading on it. It's like well. Now you're kicking yourself because you could have done a lot. You could have done a lot more stuff than worry about some stupid shading on some stupid object. It's like yes, I understand that's part of the polish thing, but like let's have a basic working game that doesn't require 120 gigs of freaking downloads in the first month. That would be kind of nice. Yeah. Like good Lord.
All right. Well, we got to wrap up this topic. I just want to end on this. Arturo says, "What more bad news for CDPR?" And that just got me thinking. Is this all bad news? I mean, as Saib said, there might be some upsides to all of this stuff leaking. So far, I have seen nothing incriminating. Now, I think that doesn't mean that nothing incriminating will come out. The only thing I think they might get in trouble for, specifically in China, is this variable name, as we talked about earlier. But as far as what I've seen in the leaked videos that I've watched, including the bug montages, I saw nothing that reflected badly on CDPR. The bug montages are from various stages of development. Like if you go into it thinking, oh, this is all from like the year before release, well, yeah, that makes them look bad, but that's wrong. It's not from that. That's when the video was compiled. That's not when the clips are from. And compiling funny bug clips is I mean, in some cases it's part of the documentation process in development, but it's not uncommon. It's like you share it around and everyone has a laugh, just before release. It's like, oh, look how far we've come. So there's that. There's the 2013 build that we've talked about. There's a bunch of others as well, just documenting various things in their development process. Lots of videos with chickens. I don't know what it is with chickens. I don't know if the chickens are from The Witcher or whatever. There are no, as far as I know, there aren't chickens in the final game, but they stuck chickens in, and there's like chickens that are replacing motorcycles and chickens that are. There's one part where a dude's testing combat mechanics and the chicken's like swearing at him. There's funny stuff in there. It's actually quite endearing. And you can see other parts where they're like working on the lip syncing for Johnny Silverhand and things like that. As someone, who's interested in the behind the scenes stuff of video games, there was a lot to be I found them fascinating. It was really interesting to get a glimpse of the development process. I did not personally see anything that reflected badly on them. We'll see what comes out in the future, but I don't think these video leaks are particularly bad for them. My opinion. And so I don't think it's all bad news. I hope, and I agree with Woolly Ram here, the smartest move by CDPR is don't ask, don't tell concerning the use of leaked source code for mods and community patches. I agree. If they just leave it alone and don't worry about it, that's probably the best approach. If they try to clamp down, they'll probably only make the problem worse, to be honest, as we've seen many times. So, all right. You are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast. Glad to see everybody who is joined us live and is active in the live chat. Please do slam that like button if you haven't yet. And check out our Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and tons of other Triple S Legion members about all the things we love to talk about. Alrighty. So, Moon, you have anything to say while we bring up our next topic here?
Well, since you were talking about chickens, I couldn't help but think that, male chickens rhymes with ding-dongs.
What?
Right? Male chickens, roosters, the other name for them.
Is another name for ding-dongs. Yes, yeah, there was probably a joke in there. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Little bit of new Halo artwork. So, this isn't exactly a leak. This is a Halo Infinite calendar that's just available for sale, but it's got some artwork from the game.
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah, I'm actually going to hide us. I'm going to hide our avatars for a moment just to give the audience a better look. If you're watching on the screen right now, we can see some of the images that are included in this calendar. So, I mean, there's not a ton here, but you can see some pretty beautiful imagery for Halo Infinite. Again, looking forward to see what they've done with the game. Looking forward to see what they do with the open world. Looking forward to see a much better showing for the game this coming Sunday as opposed to what we saw back in December, which was just not all that impressive. So, yeah, not a ton to talk about here. I mean, some very cool looking stuff, but yeah, they're tiny too, so there's not really a ton we can dig into here, although, I mean, it looks like there's a decent variety of biomes and things. But anyway, I just thought that was cool. I don't really know what more there is to talk about with that. But let's talk about Mass Effect.
I'm hoping that, well, just to cap off the Fallout thing, or sorry, the Halo thing.
Yeah,
the Halo thing. Just capping off the Halo thing is like, I believe in the future of Halo, because not that I'm a super fan, not that I have been following the development for a long time. There are competent people that are running this studio, and there are a lot of competent people working on this game. I think they had a really, really bad slip up in the last showcase. And I will put that on, no doubt, them just being off kilter from the whole COVID thing.
The more I think about it, the more I think it was a rush job. They were like, okay, the Xbox is coming
no,
out.
it was
You've got to
definitely a
have
rush job.
you've got to have a demo of this game, and they probably just weren't ready for it yet. So they showed us what they thought would be cool, and it's just the graphics were not quite there yet. They didn't really, they just made a quick combat demo basically. Didn't showcase the open world very much. So hopefully we'll see. They've had another, well, what has it been now? It's been 6 months, I guess. So we'll see what they can do with 6 months of progress.
Yeah, so I think overall, like I said, that they've got good leadership there that's doing good things, that knows how to make this product, that knows how to like get this out. And I think that we're getting there, and I think that we will get there, as far as having an actually like a really good product goes. But obviously, again, they've got some uphill battles to climb, and I think they're probably getting quite close. I just really hope that they focus on their strengths, not on their weaknesses next time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm anticipating Halo Infinite's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And again, I haven't played Halo in like literally over a decade. I don't play, I haven't played the Destiny, from the former devs on it. I haven't touched that kind of stuff. I haven't for a while. It was one of those games that I never had too much of an issue with the motion sickness on. And I tossed that up to just how smooth and good feeling the combat was, and then the vehicles were a healthy mix and all that kind of stuff. Just overall, I think I want it to be a success because I know there's a lot of people that are really excited for it, and I've got a couple brothers who really love it, and I think it deserves a good win, and that win will help a lot of people. So again, not really into it myself, but I'm really excited to see that hopefully other people will enjoy it too. The other thing that I just really need to figure out is like I just really need to help. I really need to figure out how how the gravity works on Halo rings, because the math just doesn't add up at all.
Yeah. Yes, it's a weird thing because you're on the inside of the ring and you're getting the gravity's pulling you outward somehow. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll bet there's somebody I bet there's some article somewhere that has explained how that could work. All right.
Yeah, Mad King. Halo is my childhood, 100%, and that's why I want it to do well.
Oh yeah, no, Cyb and I have many, many hours in Halo 1 and 2 that we did, together. That was one of our first games that we did.
I have one of the old like collector edition like Halo Xboxes, like the really fancy one. Turns out they're not like gold, liquid gold, but or like solid gold worth, but they're like getting there. So
I remember when you bought that collector's edition of Halo 2, I believe. Anyway, all right, so got to do this one quick because we have 5 minutes left. So
there's not too much to talk about.
So Mass Effect Ultimate Edition.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to talk about. Oh, what was it? The topic now? Something to do with mods. Hang on.
So it's PC mods in Mass Effect are making a big comeback.
Restoring cut content. Yeah, that was it.
And they are restoring a lot of cut content. They are opening the doors to a lot of modding that wasn't really possible before without a lot of brute forcing. A lot of that has to do with some of the updated tools and programs that they've used to like elevate the especially Halo 1. So this is really kind of cool, and it opens the door for a lot of highly requested mods as far as like relationships and that kind of stuff goes. I really think and I really believe that this is healthy. I still don't recommend that you buy this game. I really don't. If you played 1, 2, and 3, I think that especially if you own it on a digital pass, I think EA should just give you this. it is so dirty for them to charge you for the same thing with less content now, and I think this is gross. But the PC modding is helping to bring things up. So would I recommend getting it on a summer sale if it drops down to like 50% or less? I think at that point, yeah, I could start to suggest that, because the modding is going places and it's starting to open doors, and that's really cool. And I hope that they continue to do that, because that would be amazing. That would be 100% amazing to have a highly modded Mass Effect trilogy that really allows us to really up the game of a lot of stuff. You know what? Maybe we could even restore some multiplayer stuff to it too. Like that, I kind of doubt it, but you know, it's
well.
It's
I mean,
a,
if they're restoring
wish, right?
cut, yeah, they're restoring cut content rather easily, which means the cut content is in there. It's just been turned off, right?
Yeah. So when you're making a game, you're adding a lot of stuff to the game. It's just easier to leave stuff in than it is to take it out. Take stuff out, you're literally messing with the walls of the thing. And if you take too much out, there's a high chance that you'll end up breaking something significantly. And you don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't want to do that.
Right.
So yeah, no. I think overall, if they can push this, if they can push out just a handful more tools, that would be nice. But the community and the modding support, if they're there, if they're showing support for it, if they're making things, an improvement, then yeah, we've got ourselves something that will be probably will be quite playable for the generations to come. So, well, not generations, but the next generation of consoles. I think we could last another 8 to 10 years and have some really good stuff there. So yeah, fingers crossed. I really hope that they do that, and I really hope that they don't make too much of a mess of things. So
do you think,
again, fingers crossed?
Yeah, do you think that's a priority for BioWare or EA at this point, though? Ease of modding?
No, but it's because they. I really don't think so. I don't think they have any intention of adding any modding to it whatsoever, because they want people playing the new Mass Effect project that they're gonna, have out in a few years here if the studio doesn't get closed up. Yeah, it is a little bit of a mess, and obviously there's more messes to come. So,
all right. And that about does it for us for tonight. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. It was interesting for us. Hope it was interesting for you. Leave comments below. Of course, join the Discord server where you can recommend topics that we talk about on this podcast or on other shows and videos that we do on our main channel, that kind of a thing. Also, it's just a great place to talk with everybody. You can find, if you scroll through our Cyberpunk 2077 channel on the Discord server, you can find links to all of the leaked footage. Some are being taken down, but I don't know if CDPR is doing the MCA stuff. There's just a couple that have been taken down for random reasons, it appears. But yeah, they're there. You'll find links to them, and you can discuss topics like that and then almost anything else you can think of. So yeah, check out the Discord server. It's a fun place. You can check out all the other important links: the Patreon, the merch store. We did make some mods. We do have mods up on Nexus. But anyway, yeah, you can find everything, all the important links in the description below. Thank you especially to our Patreon supporters, our channel members, and our Twitch subscribers who really help to make this content possible. We appreciate you all. Also really appreciate those of you who subscribe and hit that like button, give comments, and share this content around. That really helps. 50,000 subs on the main channel is the goal for a Cyb face reveal. So tell your friends about the channel. So that's the plan. All right. On behalf of Cyb and Moontag, who didn't have much to say today, but we love having her here. Here, a calming presence. Yes, thank you all for joining us for the show today. We appreciate it very much, and we will talk to you again very soon.